Having a bunch of running backs on your fantasy football team that can get you 18 touches a week is great. The problem is, it's like 5 dudes that get 18 touches a week, which means we need to find those running backs that can capitalize on the big play, even though they may not see maximum volume. That's why today, we're looking for those running backs that go from 0 to matchup winning. What is going on, Headliner Nation? Hopefully everyone's doing well out there. Today we're going to be talking about how can we find some of the most explosive running backs in fantasy football. And let me tell you this, today is going to be a motherfucking banger of a show. Because when you hear the term explosive running back, what kind of running backs do you think of? Guys like De'Von Achane, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Because I know that's exactly who I'm thinking of, and I have developed a way to look at just a few metrics that can help us find some of those cheaper options that have similar traits to those explosive running backs. But how do I know that this method that I have works? Well, guys like De'Von Achane, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, and Jahmyr Gibbs take up 4 of my top 8 overall spots. So if my model is showing results for known explosive running backs, it has to mean we're on to something. Now, before we get into everything here today, I need to announce a couple draft guide winners. We've been hitting some light goals here as of late. I've actually already had 2 videos this week that have hit its light goal, so congratulations to these 2 winners, Joseph Rika 3639 and Casually Nerdy 1664. You were randomly selected from each one of the videos whose light goals were hit to receive a free 2024 fantasy football draft guide. All you got to do is send me an email from that account right there to info@thefantasyheadliners.com, and I'll make sure you're hooked up. Now, if you're out there saying, Jake, I just want a draft guide. I cannot go into this season without a draft guide because I want to absolutely abuse my league mates. Well, head on over to tfhdraftguide.com and you can get one right now. It's already live. It's got dynasty content, redraft content, and we're going to continue to add and update it all the way up until week 1 of the NFL season. But you can also get a free one if you want to sign up for a new account over on Underdog Fantasy. You can head over to underdogfantasy.com or download the app, create the new account using the referral code Headliners. Once you make your initial deposit, you're going to get a few things like a special pick added to your account. How about a first-time deposit bonus of up to $250 in bonus cash? But on top of that, you're also going to get a free 2024 fantasy football draft guide. But I'm feeling good. We're heading into the summer months. I want to keep the giveaways going. So if this video can get over 800 likes, I'll pick another random commenter from down below to give away another draft guide. So you know what to do. Hit the like button, leave your comments down below as the video is playing, and let's dive in here and talk about how can we find some of these explosive running backs. And I'm going to try to keep this as simple as I possibly can for you. So here are a few metrics that I always look at when trying to determine explosive running backs. The first one up is average defenders in the box. Lighter boxes mean the higher likelihood of big holes to open up and for the running backs to run through. How about stuffed run percentage? The lower, the better. We don't want guys getting tackled at or behind the line of scrimmage. Remember, touches are gold. We can't waste them with negative yardage. How about yards created per touch? The play may be designed well to get the player into space, but can he create more yards after what was initially blocked? That is very important. How about touches per evaded tackle? Being elusive and avoiding tackles is a huge key to big plays. The more frequently they happen, the better we have an opportunity of a big play, which is also why we look at breakaway run percentage. How frequently are they breaking off that big run? The higher the percentage, the lower amount of volume they can really get away with. So I took these 5 metrics right here, and then I found the data for all of those metrics for the top 42 overall fantasy running backs. I then ranked them from best to worst in each metric. From there, I just totaled up the ranks and sorted to see who had the highest total overall score. Pretty straightforward, I like to think. So let's dive in to the first metric. So here are the top 20 running backs when it comes to average defenders inside the box. At the top, we had Tyjae Spears. We know Derrick Henry was seeing more stacked boxes on the early downs. Tyjae Spears, when he was in the game, more of a passing down on third down. That's why his number a little bit lower. Then we have a few guys here at 6.5 defenders in the box. Guys like Raheem Mostert. Can't stack the box against Miami. They will eat you alive down the field. Brian Robinson. That right there is a little bit strange. Didn't expect him to finish so high. Rachaad White, with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, there's not going to be a whole lot of stacked boxes there either. Travis Etienne, James Cook, Austin Eckler, 6.5. Then we move down to Joe Mixon at 6'6", tied with Jonathan Taylor. But what I really want to point out here is look how close all of the top 20 running backs are. The difference in 6.4 and 6.7 isn't dramatic. But the reason I still wanted to use this metric is I'm trying to show you all those guys that are going to see the boxes that will be the emptiest. We don't want guys with an average of over 7 defenders in the box. And I say that because let's keep this a little bit simple. For the most part, when teams are in a running down, they're going to have 2 tackles, 2 guards, and a center, 5 offensive linemen. But if it's a run play, their tight end is more than likely blocking 2, which gives us 6 guys at the line of scrimmage. If we have running backs who are averaging over 7 defenders in the box, that means every single play, that offense is probably going to be at a disadvantage on running plays. So being under 7 is exactly what we're looking for. All right, now let's move down. How about the top 20 running backs in stuffed run percentage? Remember, this is the percentage of carries that are stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage. We do not want that. And at the top, we see Antonio Gibson. Maybe there should be an asterisk next to his name because he didn't really see a ton of volume. But the volume he did see, he did something with it. A stuffed run percentage of only 10.7%. Gus Edwards, somewhat surprising. This dude's finding a way to get positive yards all the time, only 11.1. James Cook, we know he's explosive at 11.8. David Montgomery at 11.9. Kyren Williams at 12.3. How about Aaron Jones at 12.7? And then we have Christian McCaffrey at 15.1. Jake, why is Christian McCaffrey so much higher than the likes of maybe an Antonio Gibson? It's because Christian McCaffrey sees a ton more volume than he does. Now, as we continue to go down this metric, you're going to see guys super close to that, right? Derrick Henry at 15.7. Joe Mixon at 16. Down at Raheem Mostert, 16.3. Zach Charbonnet at 16.7. Jaylen Warren, 16.8. And then rounded out with Bijan and Brian Robinson at 16.8 and 16.9. Really, when I'm looking at this metric, I want the lowest possible number for sure, but I'm looking for sub 20% because that means 80% of the time they're going to get me positive yards. And if nothing else, at least it's not going backwards. Which will then bring us down to our next metric now. How about the top 20 running backs in yards created per touch? At the top of the list, Chase Brown. And a lot of people have been talking about Chase Brown all offseason long, ever since Joe Mixon left. Now, I still believe that Zach Moss is going to eat up the majority of the early down work. What we saw from Chase Brown last year is probably what we're going to see this year with maybe a slight increase in volume. But he is one of only 2 running backs that averaged over 5 yards created per touch. The other was Antonio Gibson, and I get it. Let's just get this out of the way right here. I know a lot of people don't love Antonio Gibson. His last coaching staff didn't love him. Now, you can say it was because of fumbles or because of the offense or Brian Robinson, or they're always trailing, so they're always throwing the ball down the field. It doesn't matter. When Antonio Gibson touches the ball, he is a big play waiting to happen that just needs volume. We've seen him be a top finisher in fantasy football before. This isn't some fluke. But then the guys who are right behind him, guys like Jaylen Warren, Devon Achane, Tyjae Spears, we've been saying that name quite a bit, right? How about Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler? All average over 4 yards created per touch. Remember, this is on a per touch basis. This is not the average yardage that they're getting per touch. This is how many yards on average they're creating per touch. Christian McCaffrey at 3.8. As we move down a little bit further, we got Isaiah Pacheco at 3.59. Jerome Ford, 3.54. Raheem Mostert, 3.53. And if we can find guys like this, who are finding ways to create yardage above and beyond what was blocked for them, that is how we get big plays. It's the reason Chase Brown is on the top of the list. People remember the big plays from last year. That's why he's in their head this offseason. And now we can see why. The guy is out there creating big plays for himself. All right, now let's go down to touches per evaded tackle. On average, how many touches are they going to get for every evaded tackle that they're going to have? And right here, Jaylen Warren at the top, 3.13. Are you kidding me? Every 3 touches, this guy is evading a tackle. That is a huge number. Anything sub 4 is ridiculous. So Kenneth Walker, De'Von Achane, Tyjae Spears, Breece Hall, elite level finishers in this metric. And why do we care about this one again? Remember, we may not have a running back that sees huge volume. All of these guys, especially the ones that I just listed off for the most part, aren't going to get 18 to 20 carries a week. They're just not. So they need to make something happen with the minimal amount of touches they have. If Jaylen Warren's only going to get, say, 12 touches a game, but he evades a tackle every 3 touches, that means he's going to have a possibility at 4 plays where he can bust off a big one. Now, is it going to happen every time? No, absolutely not. But we're trying to find the guys who make defenders miss. Jaylen Warren right here at the top of the list. As we continue down, we see Christian McCaffrey at 4.4, Travis Etienne at 4.71. How about Rico Dowdell at 4.82? Then skip to the end, we got Najee on here as well at 4.98, Rachaad White 5.09, and Derrick Henry 5.22. The top 20 finishers in this metric. All right, one more metric to go, and then we'll get to some overall standings. And the last one we talk about, remember, is breakaway run percentage. What percentage of carries result in a carry of 15 or more yards? And holy mother F balls, De'Von Achane, 12.6% of his carries went for 15 or more yards. That number is astronomical. It's not realistic. It's not sustainable. That is not something we can count on each and every year. The best running backs every year are going to hover right around 7 to 8 or so. But who's at number 2 on this list? Once again, it's Chase Brown of the Cincinnati Bengals, another guy that is continuing to pop up maybe a little bit more than a lot of people had planned. If he could get more volume this year, what happens if we get a Zach Moss injury? That's happened in the past. Chase Brown could be somebody that you may not even draft in your league. He could be somebody that you pay attention to early on the waiver wire. If anything happens to Zach Moss, Chase Brown, I don't want to call him a league winner. That's a little bit too strong for my taste, but he's definitely going to have that opportunity. Then we had Jahmyr Gibbs at 8.2. Jaylen Warren showing up again at 8.1. Christian McCaffrey, the overall running back, one at 7.4. Moved down to the bottom a little bit. We had guys like Saquon Barkley and Breece Hall, both at 4.9%. DeAndre Swift, Zamir White, both at 4.8%. And then we'll round it out here with a couple guys at 4.6 with Kenneth Walker, Devin Singletary, and Zach Charbonnet. So, all right, we've made it through the metrics. Now what do we do? Well, remember, I said I was going to rank all of these running backs from best to worst in each metric, assign them the number value according to where they finished. I then total up all their scores and find out who scored the highest when compared head-to-head in all of these metrics. And when that was done, here are the top 15 overall finishers. Number 1, De'Von Achane. Can anyone argue out there that he's not explosive? I have yet to hear that argument. It's not the case. Number 2, Jaylen Warren, who's been showing up in a lot of our shows here lately. The guy is super explosive. He's super efficient. If he can keep his volume for where he's being drafted, a very slept-on running back still. But then we had Tyjae Spears of the Tennessee Titans, another name to pay attention to. Then Christian McCaffrey, no surprise there. Chase Brown, a guy we talked about a lot in this show. Raheem Mostert, the guy scored 20-plus touchdowns last year. He has to be explosive. Antonio Gibson, stop. Stop hating on and stop sleeping on Antonio Gibson. The guy is basically going to be free this year. Am I telling you to spend some 3rd or 4th round pick? Absolutely not. At the end of drafts, though, don't ignore Antonio Gibson, now in New England. Then we had Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson, Kyren Williams, Brian Robinson, James Conner, followed by Breece Hall, Rico Dowdell, which is a little bit of a surprise, and then rounding it out the top 15 with Kenneth Walker. But remember, we're trying to find some of these guys who are going to be a little bit cheaper. So let's throw their ADP up there as well. De'Von Achane, early. second round. How about Jaylen Warren in the 8th, Tyjae Spears in the 9th, Christian McCaffrey, the 1st, obviously. Chase Brown right now is in the 10th round. A lot of people are starting to hop on the bandwagon. The biggest issue with Chase Brown in the 10th is if he doesn't see a Zach Moss injury, there's some other guys in similar ADPs around there that are probably better off right off the bat. I would prefer 12th round or later on Chase Brown. Then we have Raheem Mostert in the 8th, Antonio Gibson in the 13th, Jahmyr Gibbs in the 1st, Bijan in the 1st, Kyren in the 2nd. We know that they're big hitters. Then Brian Robinson in the 9th round, James Conner in the 7th, Breece Hall in the 1st, Rico Dowdell in the 13th, and then Kenneth Walker in the 5th. So to make this a little bit easier to look at, let's remove all the running backs who have an ADP inside the 4th round. That leaves us with this list: Jaylen Warren, Tyjae Spears, Chase Brown, Raheem Mostert, Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson, James Conner, Rico Dowdell, and Kenneth Walker. So now that we have our list, what are some of my biggest takeaways for those players? Well, if Jaylen Warren can see over 225 touches, he could be a league winner. Does that sound like too much volume? Last year, he had 210 touches, so it's really not much more than last season. How about for Tyjae Spears? If the new coaching regime in Tennessee still utilizes Tyjae Spears, it would not surprise me if he finishes as a top 24 overall running back. The biggest issues, his points may come in bunches. I don't know if he's going to be a consistent weekly scorer, but he could have some big days. How about for Chase Brown? If Zach Moss goes down, the hype will be through the roof for Chase Brown, and deservedly so. How about everyone and their mothers still sleeping on Raheem? I'm damn near a must-start once again Mostert. I get it. The guy is a little bit older. He's coming off a 20 touchdown season. He's gonna split touches in the backfield. I get all of that. But for where he's being drafted, I don't know if you can afford to pass on him at his ADP. For Antonio Gibson, remember, just because Ron Rivera ignored him doesn't mean you should now that he's in New England. Brian Robinson, he could have been a top 12 overall option if not for the addition of Austin Eckler in this offense. Now, can they both coexist? Sure, but Brian Robinson, more of a mid to low end running back 2 I see this season. I don't think Austin Eckler's tank is completely empty just yet. James Conner, he continues to show up in all of my videos. Can he stay healthy? Because if he starts to break down or misses any time, it's going to be very hard for him to fend off Trey Benson, the new rookie they have there in Arizona. How about Rico Dowdell? The only competition he has on the depth chart is Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he could easily take over the old Tony Pollard role that we saw in Dallas just a couple of years ago when both him and Zeke coexisted in that backfield just fine. And then Kenneth Walker, I don't ever overhype Kenneth Walker, but this dude continues to be a rock-solid running back 2 in fantasy football. He's going to get banged up, he's going to split touches, but come year's end, he's going to be inside the top 24. Now, because a lot of you out there thrive on that negativity, I'm sure you're kind of wondering who finished last. When we went through and had all these running backs at the beginning, who are the bottom feeders when compared head-to-head in all these metrics? You're going to be surprised with maybe a couple of them. The first one was Saquon Barkley. Oh, we'll get to him in a second. How about Zeke Elliott right here? Then A.J. Dillon, Miles Sanders, and Josh Jacobs. For Saquon Barkley, though, I am so glad that he is finally out of New York and behind a better offensive line in a better overall offense, because he has been absolutely a wasted talent in New York for quite some time. How about Zeke Elliott? He hasn't been explosive since his rookie year. Who are we trying to kid? This should not be a shock whatsoever. He is a between-the-tackle plotter that's going to rack up touchdowns, not a prototypical explosive running back. A.J. Dillon, this dude has gotten worse now for 3 straight seasons. Miles Sanders, totally left to die in Carolina, but Josh Jacobs here at the bottom as well. He was hampered by injuries, and he's coming off the worst season of his career. Does that mean he is washed and done? No, he had a bad season, now finds himself in a better spot in Green Bay, and definitely has a chance to bounce back. But let me leave you with this, because this is something I really want to sink in. You have to remember this. It's not all about those super sexy names at the start of your fantasy football drafts. Sure, The big time names are all over YouTube. They're gonna get the clicks. They're fun to talk about. But if we don't find those guys in the later rounds, it's not gonna be worth crapola in 2024. Every single year, studs go down. They're gonna get hurt. They're gonna miss some time. Those of us who are the most prepared to have a plug and play option on our bench, those will be the guys that thrive in 2024. But all right, let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Was there anything shown today in this show that kind of caught you off guard? Are there any names that you're all of a sudden kind of considering for 2024? Leave those comments down below. Remember, you gotta leave a comment anyway. I know we're gonna hit our like goal, and when we do, you'll be entered in for a chance at a free 2024 fantasy football draft guide. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and then most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.